This is a solution video for Case Problem 1, Module 5. After you've downloaded the workbook from Blackboard, it'll open up to this solution picture sheet. And so you'll have several images on here showing what the various worksheets will look like when you're done with the exercise. The first instruction is to go to the documentation sheet and put your name in B3 and B4. And now we're moving to the shirts worksheet. We're on instruction 3 and they want us to make a table out of this data. So select anywhere in the data, and there's two ways to make a table. So using on the home ribbon format as table, I can not only make a table but format it at the exact same time. So as part of the instruction they want it to be table style medium 9, and that's that one. So it will create a table and format it. The other way to do it is to go to the insert ribbon, and here's where you'll create the table. Now it won't format it. We'll have to do that as a second step. So we'll go ahead and do this. We'll hit table. This box comes up and goes, all right, I think the data is A1 through F127. That's right. Your table has headers. You've got column headings in row 1, so you hit OK. And now it comes up with its own unique ribbon, the design ribbon under table tools. And over on the far left is where you give it a name. And so they want it to be called Shirts TBL. Okay. So I've named this table, and now we got to format it because we did it where we have to do the two-step process. So again, on the same ribbon, table styles, hit this drop down, and right here is medium 9. So now we've done that, and the next step is we want to change the formatting of the price column to currency. So I'll go to home and we'll change that to currency, showing no decimal places. So I could just get rid of the decimals right here, or I'll go into more number formats and just reduce them right there. And I think we want to take column F and make it a number format with 0 places. So I'll run to the more formats, hit number, reduce to 0, and now we have number format 0 places. Now we're on instruction 4 where they want us to make a copy, and they give you a hint about how to do that. There's a couple ways. One way is to right click on the sheet and here's move or copy. What they talk about is if you hold down the control key, when you click on that sheet and start to move it, you'll see your cursor has a little plus icon. That tells you you're making a copy. So now when I let go, here's a copy. It puts a 2 on it because it's the second sheet with that exact same name. We will rename it to Sort by Style. And I'll hit Enter. Now we want to sort this sheet. One thing I'll point out is notice it's Shirts Table 3. It gave it a new name, and this is just Shirts Table. So we have a second table, and it just appended a 3 on the end of it in this case. So instruction 5 wants us to sort by style and then by in stock. So because we're sorting on 2 columns, I got to go to the data ribbon and hit the sort icon. And right here, we're going to sort by style at a level in stock. Now on the style, they say do it ascending, A to Z. On the in stock, they say descending, largest to smallest. So I'll hit OK there. And now here's Jersey, sort by style. And then if you look at within Jersey, I've sorted by stock, descending. Now on instruction 6, we're going to filter this by size, and we're going to remove YXSM, and then the ladies extra small. So a table automatically comes up with these filter arrows. And by the way, you can turn those on or off right here on the data ribbon while you have a table. So we want to filter by size. There's a couple ways we could do it. The easiest in this case, because we're only filtering a couple, is to get rid of YXSM. So I'll scroll all the way down and just hit that check mark. And then the other one we want to get rid of is the LSXM. So I'll choose LSXM. Here it is. So that will get rid of both of those. Oops, I lost the Y. So now I'm going to hit OK. And we've filtered that data, and you can tell it's filtered because the numbers on the left-hand side turn blue. And now we're on instruction 7 where they want us to add a total row. So on the design of the table, there is a check mark box for total row. So I'll click that. If I scroll to the bottom, you'll see a total row. And then I can, on any one of these columns, choose count, sum, average, max, min, a lot of your standard functions. By default, it happened to have chosen this in stock, which is what the instruction wants, so we're summing that. But if you wanted, I could add additional, what's the average here, what's the sum, or in this case, I'll just say none. They want us to take that word total, and we're going to change it to total shirts, like that. So now moving on to instruction 8, we want to split the worksheet using horizontal panes. And I don't do this very often because I think it's kind of confusing to work with a worksheet that's been split this way, but I'll show you what it is. So you go to the View ribbon. There's a button right here under Windows where I can split it. And what it does is it will split the window above your active cursor and to the left. And so right now if I hit split, basically I have 4 different panes, okay? And what it allows me to do is scroll one pane. So here I have row 1, and then I can do it up here. And I have row 1, and that's why I find it very confusing to work with split panes. But to complete this exercise, let me go ahead and hit this at the toggle. I'll turn it off. I'm going to run down, and they only want a horizontal split, and it was like 2 rows above. So if I put my cursor right here under item ID and the 127 and hit split, I'm only going to get the horizontal split. In the top pane, I can display the shirt data. Whoops, I got to, so here I have the total row, and now up here I can move up and move to row 1. So this is row 1, and then this is just showing the totals down here. So I moved over to the solution picture, and where basically you can see they're split. They just did the total row, but I thought it said 2 rows above. Either way, I'm going to leave it. And you can see that this is filtered. You can tell the columns you're sorted on because of the arrows, and the columns you're filtered on because of the filter bucket. So if we look at ours, here's our arrows for the sort, the filter bucket, and so this is close enough. I'm going to move on to instruction 9, in which case we're going to make a copy of the shirts sheet again. So I click on shirts, I hold down the control key, and I get the plus indicator. I'll move over here, and we're going to call this one filter by color. So I'll rename filter by color and click out. So they want us to filter this so that we're only displaying the t-shirt style. So again, I have a table. This one's probably number 4 because we made a copy. And right here under style, we will unselect these, go to t-shirt, and now hit OK. So there is just the t-shirts. And now on instruction 10, we're going to insert a slicer for the color, and then we'll use that slicer to filter the data further. So under the design ribbon of your table tools, and so I've selected right here, I have that design ribbon. Right here is where I insert a slicer, and it goes, well, what are we slicing on? So I'll say color, we hit OK, and they want us to move it up to G1, and then this slicer has its own ribbon. So slicer tools, here's a ribbon called options, and we want to make its height 1.8, which will be right here, 1.8, and we want to make the width 1.2, so we'll go right here to 1.2. And it has its own style, so slicer style dark 1. So here's your slicer styles. Hit that dark, and this will be the first one. And now on instruction 11, we want to slice so we only see blue and white t-shirts. So I will click on blue. And so now we're only seeing blue, but we also want to see white. So I can either hold down the shift key or the control key in this case because they're right next to each other. I'm holding down the control key and I've selected white. So now we're seeing blue and white t-shirts. So now moving on to instruction 12, we're going to take this exact same data, but we want to add another filter, and that is on price. I want to only see t-shirts that have a price greater than 10. So I'll hit this arrow, and if it's greater than 10, realistically, I could just click these two buttons and be done. But I want to be careful because, for instance, if it was greater than 20, I don't want to see a student sitting there going click, 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 click through all of these to try and get greater than 20. What you should get comfortable using are these number filters right here. And you can then say greater than is greater than, and now you can put in a number and just hit 10 and hit OK. And so now I'm seeing all the t-shirts where it's greater than 10. And now we want to sort the filter data in ascending order by price, descending by in stock again. So I'll run to data, we'll sort by price, ascending, add a level in stock, descending. So that means largest to smallest, and hit OK. So there we go. So here's your price, 16, and then we're descending from the most in stock to the least in stock. So now instruction 13, we want to again make a copy of the shirt sheet. Boy, that's hard to say. So I'll click on that, hold down the control key, click, and now I'll make a copy. We'll right click, rename, and we're going to call this subtotals. Okay. Now we want a subtotal by style. So the first thing I want you to notice is when I go to the data ribbon and look at subtotal, it's grayed out. And that is because you cannot use the subtotal feature on a table. You have to convert the table to a range, back to a regular range. A couple ways to do that. You can right click on a table, and there used to be right here table, and then you can convert to range. Or on the design ribbon of the table, there's a button right on that ribbon to convert to range. So it's going to remove this whole concept of a table. So if I say convert to range, say yes, it leaves the formatting, but now notice when I click on it, I have no table tools. And so it's just a regular range of data like we started with at the beginning of this exercise. So I run over to data, and now we want a subtotal by style, but that means we need to sort by style first. So I can just click in any cell. They want it in ascending order, so I can just hit A to Z, and now we've sorted by style in ascending order. Now we can subtotal. So we hit the subtotal, and we're asking at each change in the style, so I will say at each change in style, we want to, and I better read the instructions, to display the minimum stock for each style. So I lied. So we want to display the minimum in stock for each style. So I'll hit OK, and now we'll see the minimum value of stock for each style. It doesn't mention doing this, but there's a 1, 2, 3. I'm going to collapse to 2, and then that shows me our 1, 2, 3 different styles. What's the minimum in stock, and then the grand minimum, of course, would be the 0 inside that jersey. So that's our subtotal. Moving on to instruction 14, we're going to go back to the shirts worksheet, and we're not going to copy it this time. We're just going to create a pivot table based off the data in here. So I select there, we're going to go insert ribbon, pivot table, select a range, it grabs the table, new worksheet, we hit OK. And now we want to do a pivot table of style and color, both of those in the rows. Ultimately, we're going to call this thing pivot table by style and color. So sometimes I just like to look at the solution picture so I can see, am I missing that one? Oh, it's at the very tippy top. Here's what it looks like. So it looks like there's our style, and there's my color, style, color, and then we have how much is in stock, and we're going to change that label. So going back to my pivot table sheet right here, I will take style and move it to rows, and then I can take color and drag down to rows. So there's my style and color, and what we want to do is sum how much is in stock. But we're going to go to value field settings and change that label. So instead of being sum in stock, it's going to be total inventory. And I'll hit OK. And now we're going to click on this, and we want to change this to a particular style, style medium 9. So I've selected here, we go to design, and here's pivot table styles. And so medium 9 is probably right there. It is. And now they want us to right click and rename the sheet to pivot table by style and color. Now if you look at the solution picture, our values are a little bit different than this one, but that's because in instruction 15 we're going to be creating this chart, and in this chart we're filtering on something, and at that point it will change the values of our pivot table. So I'm not going to worry about it yet. Let's move on to instruction 15, in which case we're going to create a clustered column chart. So I can just click anywhere in this pivot table, and I believe it's going to be under Analyze. We have pivot charts, and the first one it grabbed is clustered column, so I'll hit OK. We'll move the chart up next to the data. And now it wants us to remove the legend, so which is right here, it just says the word total. I'll hit this plus sign, and there's the legend checkbox. I'll just uncheck that. We also want to add a chart title, inventory by style and color. So I'll click up here and select that information and type that. And finally, they want us to filter the chart so that we're only seeing, or we're not going to see white shirts in here. So right here under the color is where I can click on that, and now up comes this box, and I can choose white and hit OK. And so now we're seeing the same values that we saw in the solution picture. Let's take a look at our chart and compare it to the solution picture, and it looks to be the same. Moving on to instruction 16, we're going to create another pivot table. So I'm going to go to the shirts worksheet, click here, we're going to insert pivot table, and it's already grabbed the correct range, new worksheet's the right answer. So here we are again, but this time it mentions we're again pivoting on style and color. We're going to put color in the rows, but they want style in the filter section. And now we have two value field settings. We're going to do how much is in stock, if I remember right, and then the count of item IDs. So let me grab the in stock field and move it to values, and then we're going to grab the item ID, and hopefully it will automatically default to count. And it doesn't, and the reason it doesn't, if I run back to shirts, the item ID is a numeric field. If we grabbed a text field, that would have automatically defaulted to count, but no big deal. The fact that it's not, I can take this sum of item ID and hit the value field settings, and we're going to move it to count. We'll tell it we want to count. So there we go. And as long as I was in that value field setting for this count, I should have changed a couple other things. So they want this to say number of shirts. And they also want a number format with no decimal places. So right here, I'll go number format, number, and hit the 0 decimal places. So when I hit OK, OK, now this says number of shirts. I also notice we want to make this pivot style medium 2. So I'll click here, run to design, and here's our medium, and this is number 2, I assume? Yes. So looking at the solution picture, how are we looking? Style jersey. Oh, looks like we filtered. Maybe I missed that instruction. Row label, sum, grand total. So it looks like we filtered on a style of jersey. So I'll run right here and just choose jersey. And there we go. We're looking a little better. I guess it was instruction 18 that had us filter the style on jersey. So basically that is it. Oh, we're supposed to right click and then rename this to pivot table by style. And now you're ready to upload this worksheet to Blackboard.